I want you guys to look at something. Turn your face into the camera. Is this what happened right here?
No, I had my jaw broken.
Mm-hmm.
I had my ribs broken.
Mm-hmm.
We were being drugged by the doctor. The doctor was the brother of the guy that was raping us, and it wasn't just him, it was the other guards, and I mean all the guards knew what was going on.
And what prison was this at?
This is in Carrizo Springs by Laredo. So like it's a whole nother world there, and you know, most everybody there speaks Spanish anyway. You get a lot of immigrants there, and it was a man's jail. When I first went there, there was 2 of us, and it shifted from like just me or you know, maybe 6 of there was never no more than 6 of us. I was there for 9
females,
months.
right?
Yes, females. I was there for 9 months in a seg cell, and there was no TV, no radio, no contact with the world, no Bible, no book. Like I was in a black hole for 9 months, just waiting to get beaten or raped. And I wanted to die.
It's the isolation, the manipulation, the isolation, the constant pandering to the mind with the energy to keep making you think that you got to do what you got to do. You know, we've all said that. I got to do what I got to do. You know, but sometimes doing what we got to do will lead us to places we don't want to be.
And prison, it degrades you, it belittles you, it takes your self-worth. You know, you just it's depressing.
The jail is like that, so I can only imagine what prisons are like. And,
but in all my trials and tribulations, like my drive has been my kids. If I would have gave up, then my daughters would have had an excuse to give up, and I can't have that.
And then you're there to make sure they don't go down those roads
now
that you've tried.
When I first got locked up, it was hard on my kids, and they were angry. And it was hard on me because I get out and they're not my little kids no more. And even now it's like they're grown, and I miss that all that time. But question, where are the parents at? Where are the people that have custody?
Where the community at?
Exactly. You know, don't tell this entertainer who's making money from doing it that way, and that's taking away free speech.
We disagree. Let me tell you something. I know most of y'all rappers gonna be like, yeah. Well, I ain't saying that. I'm saying that God gave you a gift and use it right. And that's just like her talent as a businesswoman. God gave her a gift. You use it right.
Right.
John Diddy, Puffy Combs, R. Kelly, Harvey Weinstein, Russell Brand, Bill Cosby, T.I. Clifford Joseph Harris Jr., and Tiny Tameka Cottle, Kevin Spacey, Andrew Cuomo, Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein, Asia Argento, Mary Kay Letourneau. What do these men and women have in common? They have been accused or convicted of a sexual misconduct or sexual crimes to a small degree or higher degree, depending on the accusations and or charges. And how do you go from an aspiring graduate to overseeing 7 girls and running a prostitution operation in San Antonio, Texas, serving time in prison, and now on probation with an ankle monitor? Today's guest is no ordinary story, and yet it is all so common. As a matter of fact, sexualization in American culture is so ingrained and embedded. During the Kamala Harris campaign, twerking and superstars, all talk of continued legalization of marijuana seem to be the theme that some would say to get the black vote, which did not go over well with the black community. I think that many in this country are inspired and ready for healing, hope, and a better way of living and doing things. I think it's time for American culture, religion, media, and the music industry to rethink its themes of what is called entertainment in our nation, knowing that it has such great influence over people in the last decades. Stay tuned for an insightful and impactful interview with Audrey. Audrey's past is marked by hardship, survival, and a fight for a second chance. Her story isn't just about the mistakes she made, but it takes resilience to heal through past traumas, overcome shame associated with her case, and rise above judgment and opinions of the public as she's put the pieces of her life back together again. She shares her story and gives us insight into how it's not just Hollywood or their problem, it's an American History X Part 2 problem. Welcome to the Critical Line Network, where insight meets analysis and conversation spark transformation. I'm IBK, and this is Miss Audrey. Again, as I was speaking earlier, as you know, there are so many cases going on right now with so many stars that are involved in our United States of America that are being accused of what you call sex crimes, or they have been charged with sex crimes. But what we want to do is we want to go behind the headlines today, and we want to reach inside of the story, inside of the heart of how do we get there? Because things don't just begin with one day it's sex, one day it's a crime. It begins because something has happened. And Miss Audrey is here today to share with us her story so we can go behind the veil to figure out what is these issues that we go through, maybe from childhood, maybe from youth, but that lead up to what we call crime. Also, we will find out today that everything is not particularly a crime. Something is targeting. Again, I am joined with Miss Audrey. Miss Audrey, please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Audrey Ovaldia. I'm 37. I have 3 beautiful children. I have a granddaughter. I was born in Long Beach, California. I was raised by Detroit, Michigan, and I live in Texas.
All right. How long you been in Texas now?
For about 12 years.
12 years.
Yes.
You like it so far?
I love it, girl.
Look, after all you've been through, sometimes you just need to get away, right?
Yes.
Get away. So what I'm going to do, we're going to start off light. I like to start off light because sometimes people have really heavy backgrounds and really heavy stories.
Yes.
So I want to start off light. Audrey, again, you were born and raised in Long Beach. We have something in common in Long Beach. So my cousin, one of my cousins, who she now lives in Virginia, but she's originally, her and her sister is out of Long Beach. They were born in Texas, but they were raised all of their life in Long Beach. Okay. And that cousin is kin to Snoop Dogg. Now tell them how you are somehow involved also with Snoop Dogg.
So my father was in and out of jail. You know, he used to beat my mom, heavy in the drugs, beat us. We were poor. He in and out of jail, and so he was locked up with Snoop Dogg. And he used to complain. He did not like him at all.
See, you never know. They say it's a small world. I don't think it's small. I just truly believe that it evolves. You never know who you run across, put it like that. So I'm going to start off with your early life. Can you tell me, Audrey, what was life like for you before you got to that space where you got involved in crime? What was life like for you as a young girl?
Well, like I said, we grew up poor. My father was heavy in drugs. He used to beat my mom heavy. He prevented me from going to school. He didn't believe women should be more intelligent than men. So he prevented me from going to school.
Is that a culture thing, or do you think that was just him?
I want to say it was just him. I hope it was just him. I don't want to believe that my culture really believes that women should down
exactly, because you know certain cultures, like even like maybe some Muslim cultures and stuff, they believe that women should be in their place and men, so that's why
and in a sense that's kind of how the role he played, you know, as far as being demanding and controlling and abusive and physically, mentally, emotionally just all of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And being poor, I remember him taking presents on Christmas to go sell them and buy drugs, or just it goes on and on.
I know.
We lived in Pico Rivera. I remember being 3 years old.
What's Pico Rivera?
It's a city in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It's ghetto. I remember being 3 years old, playing in the sandbox and digging up a dead body. Excuse me. My mother, she was in the laundromat, and she comes out, and I'm sitting there playing with the finger.
Wow.
So it wasn't the nice side of town. And that's just the what I was raised.
So at an early age, you were just involved in trauma. Like there was just no good moments. Like it was immediate trauma. Because like some kids, like they don't go to trauma until a certain age, right? And then they experience and it leads to a process or a downfall. But it was just automatic with you. You were born into it. The reason why I wanted to bring that up, if you look at people like P. Diddy or R. Kelly, a lot of people are on the internet, they're making up, what they want to make up. And, the cases haven't really evolved yet. With R. Kelly, of course, and with P. Diddy or Sean Puffy Combs, it's evolving. And I think what people fail to realize is that I'm not excusing, crime, but what I am saying is that I think people really don't tap into their compassionate part. And I think what they don't understand is that these men were born into sexual lives. As you know, R. Kelly was raped by his sister or stepsister or something like that. And we all know, and it's came out, how Sean Puffy Combs has been around sex all his life, like just nothing but sex. And when you're introduced to trauma and sex at an early age, it doesn't always play out positive. Like it just doesn't, like people expect it to. So again, so I just wanted to touch on that.
And I agree 100%. I was molested from the ages of 5 to 7, and then again from.
Do you know who did it to
yes,
you?
yes. On every sense.
Was it a family member or was it?
When I was younger, I don't really, I blocked a lot of it out. So, but I remember it being one of my dad's friends, and they were in the kitchen doing drugs, and I was being molested.
Wow.
And then again, now my dad now is he was my father's best friend, and when my father went to jail, he moved us to Michigan, and I became very angry and rebellious. And but when we moved to Michigan, it was his father, and that was going on for like 4.5 years.
Wow.
And then he went to jail. I testified against him. And then again, when I was arrested and incarcerated, I was in a sex cell for 9 months, and I was being raped and beaten by the guards.
And we're gonna get to that because guys, I want her to kind of save that for a little bit later on. She got arrested. Somebody kind of lied on her a little bit, and she ended up going back to jail, and she got beaten really, really bad. Her and another young lady. But we're gonna get to that. What I do want to touch bases on, you have 2 small children.
3.
at the time. 3.
Yes.
3. And what was it like to transition them from where you had been to where you are now? Like you moved them to Texas at one point in time, and
well, I met my ex-husband, well, legally my husband. I met him when I was 11 years old. I got pregnant at 14. I got married at 16.
Wow.
Still legally married.
Your parents allowed you to get married?
No, actually, my parents forbidded me from seeing my husband, and I ran away with them.
What place let y'all get married though? Especially when you were underage.
After I was pregnant and had my daughter, he ended up moving in with us, and my parents gave me
consent.
Yes, they gave me not power of attorney, illegally emancipated. So I was legally emancipated at 16. I got married. By high school, I had 2 kids, had a job, and going to school.
Wow.
Yes.
I saw a photo of you, and was that your graduation picture?
Yes, I graduated in prison.
Okay, because you told me you got your GED in prison.
Yes, I have my GED, my construction fundamental certificate, my OSHA. I have experience in landscaping, concrete, roofing. Yes.
I'm telling you, see, guys, this is why these types of interviews are important, because there is so much potential with people, and then there's so much things that are trying to pull people from that potential. And I truly believe, this is what I truly believe. I believe that the people who are targeted the most and the people who go through stuff the most are people who have a destiny. I really do believe that. I'm not just saying that just to be saying that. It's something on the other side of the crime. It's something on the other side of the mistakes. It's something on the other side of the labels and the shame, the embarrassment, all the things that you go through. And it's just figuring that thing out. It's just that journey. So that's why I believe that, talks like this is very, very important. You did have some encounters with the law. And I know that sometimes life pushes you to unexpected roles. I know that to places in life because you didn't wake up out your bed saying, Audrey, looking in the mirror, brushing your teeth. When I grow up, I want to commit A, B, C, D, E of crimes. Like none of us do.
No.
None of us do.
No.
And so can you share with us, when was your first arrest and how old were you?
I believe I was 22. I was buying a car from a person in my apartment complex, and the car was stolen. I did not know it. I had the keys. I gave him the money for the car. I went to the gas station and parked the car next to the cops, not knowing. And I went to drive out, and I had 6 San Antonio police finest on me, and that was the first time I was arrested.
First time have you ever been a juvenile or anything?
Never had so much as a parking ticket. I was a young mom. I stayed with my kids, and I was Girl Scout leader. I never.
Now, did they take you to prison? Did you go to prison?
No, I went to jail. I was in jail for a week, and my son's dad, he bonded me out, so I was out on bond. And then I ended up going to Michigan, and I jumped on, and on my way back from Michigan, I was on a train. I met a female. She told me she was 22, and in fact, she was 17. She said she had met this man online and was coming from New York to San Antonio to meet him. And when we get there, he didn't show. And I felt bad for her. I let her tag along. I didn't know nothing about her past. I didn't know anything. And in the 2.5 hours I was in San Antonio, I get arrested for jumping bond with the theft of a vehicle.
Now I want you to share, because there's something else that happens with that. There's a point where that was your first arrest. And what was your second arrest? What led up to that one right there?
With her, yes.
And I think you said you were in jail.
Yes. Okay. So I was arrested, and when I was arrested, she was left with my laptops, my bag, everything that I owned that I just got off the train with, coming from Michigan. So she ended up working on a page I created with my credit card. Yes, I did. But she works on it and got caught. And I was in jail for the theft of a vehicle, but when she got caught, she said I made her do it, and she feared for her life. So I literally caught that charge while I was in jail.
And she was how old?
She was 17. She told me she was 22, but she was 17. And in the state of Texas, a 17-year-old is considered an adult. But in the constitutional law, any charge that has to do with sex is 18 and over, so it overrides it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, wow. That was your second arrest.
Yes.
And what was your third?
Okay, so I did have prostitutes working for me. I had 7 girls working for me. I claimed them on my tax.
Slow down.
That's another story. Yes. But it leads up to the third.
Exactly.
Yes.
So how do you go from the inspiring young lady? Because evidently you got brains. We know that. You have brains, you have talent, you have gifts, you're fashionable. How do you go from this young lady who first time in jail, second time in jail, and now you got 3 kids at this time?
Yeah. Well, okay, so when this was going on, I was dancing.
Okay, cool.
Okay, yes, yeah. When I left Michigan, my daughter was 2 years old and my other daughter was 4 years old. I was 20 years old. I just left my husband. I had $20 in my pocket and not a clue in my head. I was leaving Michigan and I was on my way to California, and I stopped in Texas to see my grandfather. I didn't like Texas. He lived in Pleasanton, and I thought all Texas was like that. And he took me to the San Antonio Riverwalk, and I loved it. I fell in love, and he got me an apartment, and I just had to maintain it. So I'm in this new state with no friends, no family, apartment, and 2 kids to take care of. So one of the other girls, my neighbors, introduced me to dancing. And so I became a dancer. I spent my 21st birthday dancing, and I was so nervous. It was nerve-wracking.
Wow.
So,
but the money is fast.
Yes.
The money is fast and it's quick.
Yes.
And it's addictive.
Yes. And
we know, we watch Players Club, honey. It's like, yeah, and it's not what you asked for. And that's why I want to slow down a little bit. Because it's like I said, you don't wake up and get in the mirror and say, when I grow up, I'm gonna be a stripper.
No.
And this is why I like to talk about this, because guys, we have to understand there are events that lead up to people making these types of choices, especially when you've been arrested once, you've been arrested twice. Nobody's gonna hire you with a background and you got auto theft, or no one's gonna hire you. You understand what I'm saying? You know it's hard with that. I'm not saying no one. We're just saying, you know, it's hard. It's very, very difficult. So now you're young, you start out with these crimes and you've never been in trouble before. And then all of a sudden, you got to survive. You got 2 kids.
Yeah, and that's the most important part. Like, above any and everything else, like, I had 2 children to take care of. And dancing, it became addictive. The money became addictive. But I treated it like a job. I didn't drink when I worked. I went home right after my shift. I didn't, like, it was a job. I didn't look at it as a party or, and I wasn't going to have sex for money. But I knew some of the other girls would, and that's how it started. Anytime somebody propositioned me, I'd go get one of the other girls, and they'd give me a cut.
Wow.
So it's like I'm making my money on top of the money, and I just ended up,
So that's what led to you being involved with being over 7.
Yes.
So how did that happen? How did you become like the head of them?
Well, some of them were girls, and then some of them were friends or girls that I met on the way. I've had girls come and go. And then it becomes like not just a part of you, but a part of you. Like it's another world. And that stuff you see on TV, the pimp balls, and literally pimps all over this country meet once a year with their finest women and the most money. And I was making anywhere from $7,000 to $19,000 a day. And it's
addictive.
The money is addictive, and
the lifestyle becomes addictive.
I'm able to provide for my children as a single mother, as a woman. And I wasn't dating. I didn't want no man to claim what I had accomplished. And I didn't want him to prevent me from doing what I was doing.
And you know what? I'm going to stop right there. When I look at crime, when I look at our lives, when I look at the mistakes we've made, when I look at the events that lead us up to there, most of the time, whatever your gift and talent is, when you're put in these situations, you use that gift and talent in those situations. So let me give an example. If you're really truly listening to her, she's a businesswoman. She's a go-getter. She's hungry. She's done it on the right side. She's done it on the wrong side. And what happens is that a lot of times when you this driven business person and God has given you certain gifts and talents, when you're placed in these situations, you're going to use those gifts and talents in the wrong way. It's just that simple. When you're desperate, you understand what I'm saying? When you can't get that job, I know plenty of people, they have certain backgrounds. And they like, what I'm supposed to do? I'm supposed to just sit up there and starve? No, I got to go hustle. You know what I'm saying? And this is why this is important. This is why these types of talks are important, because we need to get behind the story. A lot of times we look at the people, we judge the people, we say, you just bad. You could have did something different, but you don't know like the places that people come from. You understand what I'm saying? Just because you didn't go through it, it doesn't mean other people didn't go through it. And just because you went through it and maybe you did it differently, it doesn't mean that's, be thankful. Be thankful. But that's not the majority of people's stories. You know, it's just not. And I look at it like this: everybody is not a bad criminal. They just not. They just, one event leads to another event to another event. It's like this: you have a positive, it leads you to another positive and another positive and another positive, and then you have a negative, and it has the same trifecta on down, on down, on down. So
and let me just comment
Mhm.
on that.
Mhm.
As far as being a criminal, if you're gonna be a criminal, do it by yourself. Not saying that to go out and be a criminal, but
Mhm.
anything.
Don't be a criminal.
Don't be a criminal.
Not on TCLN.
But-
That's why we here. We here to let you know we're gonna come through. We're gonna talk through these issues because you may be on the verge of finna go do something you ain't got no business doing because you got to feed your kids. And I am here to tell you there's a better way.
But
That's why we're here.
Anything illegal I've ever done,
Mhm.
I haven't, by the grace of God, I have not been charged with, or it hasn't come to light other than now.
Mhm.
But and like I profited from it. You know.
But you're not gonna do that. I'm patting that hand. We're gonna stop that. You're gonna turn that what God gave you, and you're gonna fight through what you're going through.
Yes.
And we're gonna take that to another place,
Yes.
which is a good place, because there's so many women out there you gotta help.
Yes.
And you can't help them if you locked up.
You're
you
right.
can't help them.
And prison's not. It's not nowhere to be for anybody, man or woman.
Now, what I want to talk about too, while you were in prison, how did it actually feel? Your story. How did it feel? Like, what was it like for you in prison? What was it like when you were in prison? What were your days like? What were your months like? Did you feel like it was gonna change? Did you feel like the day was coming? Or whether it's just those days where you just felt like,
I mean, everybody has those days. Honestly, going from my childhood and going from being a parent and going from the world of fast money, prison, it was another world. And I have to fully agree with mindset. You know, anything you've been through, it's mindset. What you endure, you have to just, you adapt.
But what, like, those moments, I know you had those moments where it just,
I felt helpless.
yeah.
I mean, helpless. I go from making all this money to being indigent. And I didn't hear, I was sentenced the first time 4 years. My first time ever in prison, I was sentenced 4 years. And I didn't hear from my family. I didn't hear from no friends. I didn't, nothing for 3 years. I didn't know where my kids were for 3 years.
Wow. The whole time?
The 3 years. And I finally got a visit from my family to tell me my brother died.
Now, we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. So when they came to tell you that your brother had died, what did your brother die of? What happened? What actually happened?
My brother was a bipolar schizophrenic, and he hung himself. My dad found him. So, and today it's actually 7 years.
Do you believe
today.
he actually hung himself, or do you believe there's a lot of influences behind that led up to that?
I mean, I'm sure there was, for a lot of reasons. But today is actually the day of. It's been 7 years today that he passed.
You guys were close.
Yes, that I used to change my brothers and sisters' diapers. Like, I would babysit. I couldn't go to school or do after school activities because my parents worked 2 jobs each. So I was the one taking care of them. I was the one, I was 8 years old babysitting and left at home. So
so being in prison, you get this news. Prison is already depressing. How did you cope with that? How did you work your way through that?
When I heard it, it took a long time for me to accept it. And even when I did accept it, I didn't fully accept it. Like, it wasn't real. And then when I got out, it was like losing him all over again.
Because now you realize how real it is.
Yes.
He's not there. Yeah.
Even today, it's hard. It is. I love my brother. We were very close. That was that was my other half. I have 2 brothers and 4 sisters. An older one, but she was raised in Los Angeles, and we were raised in Michigan, so I was raised as the oldest one. My other brother, he's in the Air Force. He's actually in Africa, Djibouti, Africa. Yes, he's stationed there for the next 6 months. As far as my brothers and sisters, I mean, all of us have done drugs. All of us have been locked up. Except for the one that's in the Air Force.
How did you get on drugs? How old were you when you first got there, and who gave it? How old were you? Who gave it to you? And what was that moment like? How did you get there?
Well, I started smoking cigarettes when I was 8 years old. Taking my parents' cigarettes, and I started smoking weed and drinking when I was about 9 and a half. And then Michigan, it's a psychedelic state as far as ecstasy, acid, shrooms, coke a little bit. But being a young mom,
and who gave it to you?
I mean, you could get anything anywhere, you know. Just if you got money, you could get.
Was it a friend or?
I mean, I'm sure it was, or a friend of a friend, or you know, it's just my ex-husband, he was 3 years older, so you know, I've always hung out with the older people. But yeah, it was friends, and you know, drinking and just like any drug that I've ever done, I've been in control of. I've never done heroin, I've never done downers, you know, because I've always had to take care of my kids. Yes, I was high taking care of my kids, and it's not right. It was wrong. I grew up with my kids.
I know what you're saying.
But and by the grace of God, my oldest daughter was on the A honor roll her whole life.
I'm gonna tell you something, and that's true. I remember living in Dallas, so we were living in North Dallas, and we were my kids were young at the time. My oldest daughter is like 30 now, but they were younger at the time. And I remember this lady, everybody knew her, and she was the coolest person. But of course, she smoked crack cocaine. But let me tell you something. She had one child, and it was a young girl, about our daughter's age. And let me tell you something about this woman. I don't care how much crack she smoked. Every day her daughter was sharp. Every day her daughter went to school. Her daughter wasn't abused. Her daughter was well taken care of. And we used to always talk about it in the apartment complex, because it was like 120 some units and very small. Everything faced each other. And we would always be like, everybody be talking, be like, girl, we don't care what she doing, but she makes sure she take care of that child. Yes. And she was a great, outstanding mother. Her only issue was that crack. It was that crack pipe. But baby, when it came to that young baby, that girl, like her daughter was her everything. There's every decision I've made in my life has been based on my kids. Whether it's good or bad, whether it affect them. You know, as long as they were taken care of, I'll do bad all day. But now I know you realize though, as a mother, especially a young mother, and now your kids are a little bit older.
Yes.
I know, and the reason why I want to share this, because I want you to think, if you're a young mother watching this, I want you to think, because what we fail to realize is that money may be good, that lifestyle may be good, the people you may be around, one thing can get you in trouble. Just one choice. Matter of fact, you can get accused of stuff if you're not careful.
You could be nice to somebody on the train and ruin the rest of your life. So the reason why I want to bring that up is that when you're making decisions for your children, you have to understand that those bad ones, not to say you're a bad person, but those bad ones are going to separate you from those kids. And that's what you got to think about in the moment when you're making a choice. So let me give you an example. When I was younger, I had some friends. I ain't gonna even lie. I had some friends, some homegirls. I knew them. And I remember I had my young baby girl. One of my young baby girls, she was young. It was Chelsea at the time. And I didn't have no money. And I was trying to figure out where we going to get milk from, you know, young parents. And so the girls was like, girl, we can go to the store and we can do this and this. And I was very scared. I'm not going to lie. I was like, girl, we ain't going to do that. We're going to get caught, girl. But being a follower at that time, I listened to them. And let me tell you something, guys. The girls took out running. They did not get caught. I got caught.
They the ones who talked into it. They the ones who was stuffing the bags. But I got caught. They took out running and I got caught. Now, mind you, the reason why I brought that up is because these choices, I'm telling you, they separate you from the child. And unbeknownst to me, their family member was trying to get custody of my daughter. So they wanted my daughter so badly that they were willing to make sure I stayed in jail so they could try to get custody of the child. Like it'd be some stuff working, y'all. So I just want to tell you, if you're a young mother out there, no matter who you are, you could be thinking like she's saying, you could be thinking, this about my kids. I'm not gonna let my kids starve. I'm not gonna go through this. You understand? Think, stop, think. There are gonna be people out there that can help you. See, I didn't know this at the time when I was younger. We got social media, guys. We got everything. You get on social media and say, y'all, somebody please help me. I'm about to do something I ain't got no business doing, and I need to feed my baby. Like, you got so much help today.
Yes.
Back then, we didn't have these platforms. We didn't have these things, and we had to survive. We didn't have community. We didn't have any of that. And we wasn't smart enough to go knock on somebody's door and say, can you please help me with some milk for my baby? You know, we did what we did.
But you know, sometimes people do that, and some people shut the door on people. It's not always the person that's trying to get the help's fault. You know, they'll try and go ask for help, and sometimes they're shut down.
It's just like with criminal backgrounds. You know, so many people have certain backgrounds, and it's hard for people that don't have backgrounds to get a good job. So just imagine people with backgrounds, and the doors keep being slammed in your face, and the doors keep being slammed in your face. You may have children that you trying to feed. You may have things that you're trying to do. Competition is already stiff. Jealousy is already stiff. So that's just an excuse to keep slamming the door in your face. You know what I'm saying? Like, people going to keep slamming that door. They're going to keep using it as an excuse. So what do you do? And like, what do you turn to?
It makes it hard too. Like, if you're a prideful person, to be told no, you know, and then you don't want to go ask for help. So you do turn to criminal activity. And, you know, you don't have, sometimes you just don't have a choice. And sometimes the drugs or the alcohol, it releases that pain or that hurt or that anger, you know, it releases that.
At least that's what it appear like. And then it keeps you in the cycle. It does.
It does.
And the thing is that we want to break the cycle. And that's why you guys know I've been talking about a bootstrap entrepreneurship, because now in today's world, you got hair, you got, like she said, construction, like it's so many different things you can do. And you can build your own businesses now. So it may take time. It's going to take guts. It's going to take wits. It's going to take all of that. But and sometimes you think, well, it takes money to do. No, it takes bootstrapping. It takes being creative. It takes getting up there, putting yourself on social media, marketing yourself, telling people what you're trying to do, forgetting about that past, because that past is exactly that. It was something that came to hinder you from who you are designed to be, and to get you to use your gifts and talents in the wrong way. Now let's continue.
And may I interrupt? You know, even when I was selling the prostitutes, I had a legit business card from Bank of America. I had a legit business. I claimed them on my taxes. They were my dependents.
How did they let you claim them on your taxes?
Because I had a business. I claimed I had a photography business. And they were, you know, my models to showcase. And so I had that business assets. And then while they were doing what they were doing, I'd be in the room and I'd be reading or you know, like, I know how to unlock cell phones, laptops, computers. I went to college for a little bit for my bachelor's of science, computer technology. And you know, it is easy to start a business. You don't.
Looking at that now, do you think in your heart like that was something that you really would want to have done with the girls, the prostitution?
No, not at all. Not at all. I only did that because it came, well, it fell in my lap. Like, it was in front of me and I grabbed it.
With the stripping,
you know,
all of that.
Yes.
Okay. Now let's talk about you being in prison. Because when you were in prison, you were beaten. I want you guys to look at something. Turn your face into the camera. Is this what happened right here?
No. I had my jaw broken. I had my ribs broken. we were being drugged by the doctor. The doctor was the brother of the guy that was raping us, and it wasn't just him, it was the other guards, and I mean all the guards knew what was going on.
And what prison was this at?
This is in Carrizo Springs by Laredo. So like it's a whole nother world there, and you know, most everybody there speaks Spanish anyway. You get a lot of immigrants there, and it was a man's jail. When I first went there, there was 2 of us, and it shifted from like just me or you know, maybe 6 of there was never no more than 6 of us. I was there for 9
females,
months.
right?
Yes, females. I was there for 9 months in a seg cell, and there was no TV, no radio, no contact with the world, no Bible, no book. Like I was in a black hole for 9 months, just waiting to get beaten or raped. And I wanted to die. You know, and when it was happening, I would stick notes. My parents, they always taught me, write everything down, make a contract, you know. But I would write little notes of things that were happening and when and just I would stick them in vents or little cracks in the corner. And I didn't think nothing of it, you know. Who I'm in jail, ain't nobody gonna believe me. And then I pulled chain to prison. I had to be put on medication for PTSD because I have night terrors. Even now, I can't be locked up. I was on medication. Some months go by. A Texas Ranger comes and finds me because they beat a girl so bad she died of internal bleeding. And I did.
So this was after your thing happened.
Yeah, this is after I had left and pulled chain.
So how did they find out about you though? They found those notes.
Yes. They found.
And where were you sticking them at?
Like I'd stick them in the vents, or I'd stick them in the corners, or like in between the bed, like the metal parts of the bed. Yes.
And they found that when you left.
Yes.
And they had beaten and raped a young lady so bad
she died of internal bleeding. Yes. And her family got the money that we wanted. Wow. And you know, I had
y'all, prison ain't worth it. I don't care what you're going through.
It's not.
I don't care what the problem is you having right now. I don't care if it feel tight. I don't care whatever. I don't care how it feel. When you looking at those kids and those that energy is trying to influence you, well, this is what you got to do to survive. You got to think twice. You got to calm down. You got to pray, and you got to think twice. And when you do that, the answers are going to come. They're going to come, and it'll kind of pivot you from making such a rash decision that'll end up landing you in a jail or in a prison. You see what I'm saying? Because that's what the enemy play off of. The enemy plays off of your circumstances, your situations, your pains, your struggles, and to get you in that moment to either make a rash decision, and even if you don't make one, to try to put you in environments where you can be an accused of one. Because remember, she was accused of somebody of doing something that she didn't even do, you know, which led her to being into more trouble. So you guys just remember that, because those prisons are nothing to play. The jails ain't nothing to play with.
It's not
just
fun.
Imagine the prisons. Yeah,
it's not nowhere nobody wants to be.
Just imagine the prisons. But you were able to get paid from that.
Yes, right? I won a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. I gave my mother a lump sum. I had a lump sum, and I put money in an annuity. And I'll be getting those checks for the next 15 years. But I mean,
I told y'all, businesswoman, be smart. But at the same time, it's that energy. It's that. Some people say the devil, right? I don't care what you call it. I call it jealousy and hatred. It's that energy that's always trying to pull you backwards. That's why you got to think about, I've came too far. I've come too far. I can't keep making those decisions. I've come too far. And a lot of times the enemy tries to isolate people to make you think, well, ain't nobody, who gonna help you? You ain't got
Yes.
nobody to call.
Yes.
Like, what you gonna do? You know, and when you at those points, that's when you feel like you have to make those decisions. So, but the truth is, there are people out there. Even if you got to reach outside all your haters and all the people talking about you,
And there's
haters. There's haters. Go to straight strangers somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just go to somebody, a straight stranger, and ask for help, guys. I'm telling you, it's out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's the isolation, the manipulation, the isolation, the constant pandering to the mind with the energy to keep making you think that you got to do what you got to do. You know, we've all said that. I got to do what I got to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but sometimes doing what we got to do will lead us to places we don't want to be.
And prison, it degrades you, it belittles you, it takes your self-worth. You know, you just it's depressing.
The jail is like that, so I can only imagine what prisons are like. And because now they allow them to have camera phones in jail, like literally.
We didn't have phones in ours.
Well, some of them, like, they got cameras.
We have cameras. Yes, there's cameras.
But they be having the, you know, they be contraband. They call it contraband. They be sneaking the cameras in. We get to see what that. You like.
And they say that they black out, like, okay, so sometimes the cameras will be in the corner and you know the bathrooms are open, and they say they black them out, but you don't never really know.
Yeah, you don't. You don't. And let me tell you something, guys. In the jail, I've never been to prison, but in the jails, you know, if you ever been to jail, you have. Let me explain something to you. I don't know how it is in the prison, but you have a toilet, and above the toilet is your sink, where you use your cup to get water that you're supposed to drink.
And it makes you think like you're drinking toilet water, right?
That is toilet. So this is the toilet. Just imagine this being the toilet, you guys. Yes. And this is the toilet. Above the toilet, in the same toilet, is your water.
Yes.
And you press this little button and little water springs out. And it's crazy, guys. It's not even a sink. It's the toilet. It's your sink. Yeah.
It's a step further. In prison, they wash their clothes in the toilet.
Yeah, you're lying.
I promise you. They clean out the toilet, you know, scrub it out, and you wash your clothes in it. And then you put the clothes on the floor, and you take the cap of your hot pot or your ID, and you press it out, and that's how you press. I made money doing it.
It's survival. It's sad, guys. With all of the pain that you've endured, what is something you hold on to today as a source of hope and inspiration?
My children. I mean, that's my only hope for anything. Even when that was happening to me.
And how old are they now?
My daughter's 22, my daughter's 19, and my son is 13. And I have a 3-year-old grandbaby. Beautiful. She's gorgeous. Let me just say she's gorgeous. But in all my trials and tribulations, like, my drive has been my kids. If I would have gave up, then my daughters would have had an excuse to give up, and I can't have that.
And then you're there to make sure they don't go down those roads
now
that you've tried.
When I first got locked up, it was hard on my kids, and they were angry. And it was hard on me because I get out and they're not my little kids no more. And even now, it's like they're grown. And I miss that all that time. But
it's okay. Let it out, baby. Let that stuff out, baby.
When I separated from my ex-husband and I was a single parent, I would put presents in the mailbox and sign them from my ex-husband to my daughters so that they felt that love of a father. I didn't want them to know their father wasn't shit. And when I went to prison, nobody did that. So I got out and they asked me about it, and at that time they were older, so I told them the truth, and so they thought I lied to them their whole life. You know, so it's like you damned if you do, you damned if you don't. I had all the tensions, and but I love my kids, you know.
I know you do. I feel that passion, girl. I know you do. What message would you like to share? I want you to look into that camera. I want you to slow down, because I know it's a lot to deal with. It's a lot of emotion. This is your first interview talking about these things, really expressing it. But I want you to look into the camera, and what message would you like to share with someone who may be about to try? Think about it this way: someone that is about to travel down the path that you've already been down, and they feel trapped in their situation and they just feel like they can't escape, what would you like to say to them?
Just don't do it. There's hope. There's help. There's resources now that I didn't have. There's so much a person can do just by going online. If you go online, go on YouTube right now and put how to make money. They will tell you how to make your business. They will give you webinars. They will show you. There's just so much access to help and to resources that I didn't have. And I know it seems fun. I know it's right here, right now, but I promise you it's not worth it.
What advice would you give others who are struggling with labels? Because you were accused of sexual with a minor, right?
No. My charge was human trafficking.
Okay.
And it was lowered down to compelled prostitution,
Okay,
which
cool.
means to distribute prostitutes.
To distribute. Okay.
Yes.
My daughter was 19 when she was into prostitution. And the guy that she was with, he was 27. And so the headlines, because they were in the headlines, and the headlines specifically stated prostitution with younger people. And I look at my daughter's life. My daughter was like 18, running into 19. The guy was 27. But that's something that she has to live with. It's a mistake, of course. Of course, she wasn't out there just, doing wrong with young people. But when you're hanging around older people and older men and these people, you're going to get these cases. You're going to get them. They're prostituting you. They're prostituting young girls. But you're considered an adult at that time, even though you're 18, 19. And that's something that she has as a label. And it's unfortunate, it's unfortunate. And it's, you go to try to get a job, you go to try to, look at life, and everybody tells you no, that's going to be a no. And I would just like to know what would you share, like, with people who have that on them, or they've been down these roads with sex crimes, or maybe not even a sex crime, maybe just something that's been holding them back for so many years. Maybe it's even a secret. Some people have secrets. Some people been through family incest. Some people been through they had sex with a girl one time and they got a little rough, or it's, guys, if you take the judgments and the labels off, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've said it before on my videos. You got some Diddies everywhere. Not in Hollywood. You got some Diddies everywhere, because people have did so much sexual promiscuity. It's in our culture. I grew up in the 80s. Madonna, Prince, Michael Jackson. The fingers. What was the girl with the penis? Like, all of this stuff.
Prostitution started back in the 1800s.
Come on now.
It's been around for years.
And I mentioned on my video Hugh Hefner. Think about it. Hugh Hefner was doing the same thing Diddy was doing.
And these are promoters and entrepreneurs.
And think about Hooters. Now the restaurant Hooters? Come on now. These little girls with these little skirts on. Now we know legally, nobody's doing none of that up front. But on the back end, no grown men looking up and they're looking at these little young fine girls, and something ain't happening on the back end. So American prostitution is real. It's in look, you look at a billboard. A girl with a sucker in her mouth and a little skirt on, young looking girl. That's just a billboard. You look at our music, look at our culture. And that's another thing I wanted to step into. How much do you think that our music plays such an influence? The rap, the hip hop, the sexuality.
Okay, I mean, that's everything I listen to.
Yeah.
Again, it has to deal with the parents teaching your kids right from wrong. The parents telling, you can listen to something.
But a lot of girls were like you. Like, they don't have their parents around. They in them streets.
Right.
They in them streets,
they had to make a choice of where they want to go in life. I mean, I could tell you all day, don't do it, it's not worth it. But at the end of the day, these girls are gonna make their own choices, and they're not.
But how much do you think this music, really plays a on the psyche in the country? Because think about it, like I can be sitting up here, it could be a positive song. I can be like, I'm so excited. And I just can't hide. That's just positive. And you see how out the blue I did that. There's no music here. I haven't even heard that song for a long time. So just imagine how much of this music, from sexuality to F or B, F or hoe, F or nigga, I'm getting my money, to this, all of that get in the psyche.
You're right.
I just came up with that song. I ain't heard that song. But I mean, that gets in our conscience.
Yes, I mean, a person's gonna do, or a person's gonna be who they choose to be. You can't give them music and or take it away and say you can't listen to this, because that's only gonna make them want to listen to it more. If you introduce the music to them and say, or like you're right. A lot of people don't have parents, but if somebody or a volunteer, somebody reaches out to these kids and introduces this music to them and explains to them, this is for advertisement, whether it's good or bad. It's entertainment. It's not real. You have cartoons, you have movies,
because they believe that's like they want that life.
Yes.
And they fail to realize Snoop Doggy Dogg got his feet kicked up with his wife at the end of the day, and they think they going to live this life, and it's an influence.
But if the music and the violence, if it was explained early on and introduced to these kids, they wouldn't be so curious about it. They wouldn't go looking for it. You know what I mean? And that's what a lot of, I think, a problem come from, is these kids hear it on the radio or they see it on TV,
and this
lifestyle. They don't know nothing about it, and it seems enticing, and they just want to get it because they don't know nothing about it.
Like, I'm looking at the trial of who's that, Young Thug?
Yes.
And in Young Thug lyrics, he was like, F the judge and F this and F that. And as you know, now he had to sit before these judges, right? So I think, and I'm hoping that Young Thug, if he does get released and get his second chance in life, I am so hoping that this dude lives up to his word and then go out there and influence other young people with better rap, because you can rap and you can be talented.
Yes.
You just need to do it in a better way. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm hoping some of these entertainers will be able to, because they got money now. They like, the money ain't the issue. They got fans, they got people looking out for them. Young Thug can get right now and make a song from jail and people gonna buy it.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? So the money is not the issue. Whereas when they were saying, well, we trying to feed ourselves, we just trying to survive. Now I'm just hoping that Young Thug, like when he comes through his trial and everything's worked out, I'm hoping that he says, because he told the judge, he said, I just want that chance. I'm a good man. I just need to get out there. I just need to prove myself. And I'm hoping that he does that in his music too, because he's talented and he's gifted. And let me tell you something, your fans will follow you to the end of the earth. Like, if you start changing the trajectory of this music and you start making it uplifting, let it be catchy, let it be fun, but make it uplifting, make events, make all kind of stuff, you still gonna make money. They still gonna buy your stuff. Then guess what you're doing? You're uplifting them. They following you. That's why they call followers. They're following you. That's why they call fans. But if you bring it to them good, you're going to start changing their taste for that type of music to better type of music. And then you're doing God's will then. And not only are you lifting up yourself, you're also lifting them up.
And I agree with you 100%. But in a sense, that I listen to the F this, F that, woo, 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 woo. But
I did see her Instagram, y'all. I'm like, okay.
But but you're telling somebody,
but you're more mature at your age now, and you've been down those roads.
So if a performer is gonna make that kind of music, it should be for a mature crowd. Don't get mad at the entertainer because these children are getting a hold of it. You again, you got to question, where are the parents at? Where are the people that have custody?
Where the community at?
Exactly. Don't tell this entertainer who's making money from doing it that way. and that's taking away free speech.
We disagree. Let me tell you something. I know most of y'all rappers gonna be like, yeah. Well, I ain't saying that. I'm saying that God gave you a gift and use it right. And that's just like her talent as a businesswoman. God gave her a gift. You use it right. Right. You know, because if it don't, listen, young thug, how many times you talking about F the judge and then you had to go sit before the judge? You know what I'm saying? And I understand you guys. Trust me, young thug. I understand that people like Ice Cube back in the day, remember? Like their goal wasn't to be gangster rappers. They saw the community going through all this stuff with the police. So they felt like, F the police, you know. I'm gonna give y'all an example of how dangerous sometimes music can be, y'all, though. I'm gonna give you an example. I was once young. I grew up on rap. I grew up on Ice Cube, Snoop Doggy Dogg. I grew Thugs and Harmony. Baby, even Too Short, a little bit Too Short. My grandma found out, my mom found out we listened to Too Short, we'd be in trouble. But that's when I was in them streets trying to be grown, you know, didn't recognize it. I was just left to the streets at the time. But I want to remind you of something. I don't know if you remember these guys called the Ghetto Boys from the South, right? Out there to Houston, 3rd Ward. When I was younger, let me tell you how good God is. I'm going to tell you how good God is. I heard this song, but I heard it differently. So this is how I would jam to the song. Mr. Officer, why you want to put me in the car, officer? But that is not what this says. Now, I was about 30 something going into 40 years old. And one day the song came on, y'all. And it said, Mr. Officer, I want to put your ass in the car. I said, this song do not say that. I said, no. So you gotta be kidding me. So I listened to it and I said, oh my God. And I sat down and it was like God was taking me through a moment. And I thought to myself, what if I was saying that? What if I was saying that? Being that young girl at that time, because at that time, I was 14, 15 years old when that music was out. Can you imagine if I was running around town, just being a little young, dumb girl? Mr. Officer, I want to put your ass in the car. So they be like, yeah, I'm going to put your ass in the car, you know. I mean, can you imagine? So that's the only thing I'm saying, guys, is that we all know, guys, you guys have children. And you know that you can't be there for your children 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You know that. You have to work. You have to do things. So it really does take a village to raise these children. And we all know you was once kids. I don't care if you're a rapper. I don't care if you're an entertainer. You're going to be curious and you're going to get into things. And all I'm saying is that just kind of watch some of the music. It's one thing to do things for a purpose. You're doing things for a purpose. Like back in the day, Ice Cube and them, when they was rapping about that, they were doing that for a purpose because it was affecting the community. Things were happening. You talking about Rodney King, you talking about all of that. But there's a difference between that versus just lasciviousness, putting darkness out there. Those are two different things. Even when you watching movies, sometimes you need the darkness so that you can see the reality of how dark it really is. To make change. But just for the sake of doing it, exploiting women, booties everywhere, slapping, you know, that becomes a point where it's just degrading. Just like a prison is degrading, that's degrading to our Black women. I'm sorry, we may disagree. I'm just saying it's degrading.
I do agree
and I think we need to get better.
Yes, I do agree with you in a sense. I do agree with you. But, you know,
I be on them, though. I be like, stop that.
You know, I'm
like that old mama, quit it, boy.
I came up from Bone Thugs
and Cardi B. I love me some Cardi B,
girl.
But I get on Cardi B butt.
Megan
and let me tell you why. Because Cardi B, out of all the entertainers, Cardi B has a special gift.
Yes.
If you've ever sat up and listened to Cardi B, she's able to get those young girls.
And Nicki Minaj and Megan Stallion, yes.
And they can talk to those young girls and steer them on the right course. But I get on the Cardi B. I don't care what Cardi B say. I be like, girl, God gave you a gift. Stop that booty clapping.
I love me some Cardi B.
I don't care what you say. I love me some Cardi B because I love the gift in Cardi B.
Yes.
I love it when Cardi B ain't clapping them cheeks. And she just talking to those young women about college and man, that gift is so evident in her.
Yes, but again, that just goes to go from
she trying to justify it.
From one gender, or not gender, one age group from another age group. It's
young
what these
people
are
look
allowing
up
our
to
kids
y'all.
to listen to.
They love you. Listen, I'm gonna give y'all another example, y'all, and we're gonna be closing out in a minute. I'm gonna give you another example. When I was young, I don't care what people say. I don't care. I know people say, this just me, y'all. This ain't her, this me. Cardi B, you was once young. Megan Stallion, you was once young. Beyonce, all of us. You, Miss Audrey, me, everybody. I don't care what you say. Your parent can be in the next room, but you was gonna have Michael Jackson up on your wall, fantasizing about Prince and Michael Jackson. It's just the way it is. I'm gonna give you an example. You ever look at little toddlers? Little toddlers look up to who? Little kids. And little kids look up to who? Teenagers. And teenagers look up to who? Voila, you guys.
Yes.
I don't care. I know you said, but I'm not making it for them. Yes, but they still look up to you.
Right.
They're gonna gravitate. We had them posters with the glove and the Janet Jackson with the one earring.
Look, I love Bone Thugs so much. My daughter's name's Harmony.
My granddaughter, her name is Harmony, but it's spelled with a Y at the end.
So is mine.
Yeah. So hers is Harmony Marie.
Yeah. Well, mine's Harmony Angelica de Nevea.
Wow. Say that again.
Harmony Angelica de Nevea.
What does that mean?
Angel in heaven. When I was pregnant with her, I fell down some stairs and the doctor gave me a death certificate for her and wanted me to do an amniothesis. Long story short, I thought my baby was dead, so her name means angel in heaven.
Wow. And my granddaughter is Harmony Marie. And I told my daughter, I said, why would you give her Harmony and then give her Marie? Because Marie means bitter. So she's Harmony and bitter. I'm like, oh my God, the poor child. But beautiful name, Harmony Marie. Beautiful kids' names. But I just want y'all to remember that. Just kind of keep in mind, it's a part of nature. Kids look up to stuff. Young people look up to stuff. It's just the way it is. That toddler is gonna look up. You see them, they be trying to walk, they look at the big kids, they want to play with, they don't want to play with another baby, they want to play with the big kids, you know. And then those kids about this age, 8 and stuff, they're looking up to the teenagers. Oh, she put her lipstick on that way. Oh, I like her heels, you know. Oh, I mean, it's just nature.
Yes.
And then these young people, younger, they look up to you guys. So maybe if you make adult entertainment, make some good stuff for them too.
You're right.
Make some good stuff from them too.
I agree.
So that's what I would say. I can't tell you how to live your life, even though I'm gonna tell you anyway. Now I'm just playing. But just think about them because they're gonna look up to you guys.
Yeah.
So if you can just put some good stuff out there, some positive stuff. Like I'll give you an example. One day T.I. made a song and he was talking about anger. And in that song, he was telling the young bloods, like, don't let this anger get you so trapped up to where you end up in prison.
Yes.
Because there are people that are so desperate that they don't care about taking their own life to try to take yours.
Yes.
And when I heard that, I thought that was so powerful and so inspirational. So all I'm saying is that put some good stuff out there for the young people because they're going to look up to you guys regardless. Just do that. Now, in our closing, because we're about to close out, I just want to say, prison and policy reform. This is going to be for our government. We got about maybe 10 minutes left. So prison and policy, what do you think needs to be changed in these prisons?
So much. The list is so long, and I can only speak for the females side, and our side is horrible. So I can't even imagine what the men go through. You know, the portions that we're fed aren't even enough to get us full. So, and the men are supposed to be eating the same portion, like portions as far as food.
And if you ever been in jail, y'all, we're not even talking about prison.
Halfway
they put a
is worse.
On top of your, and during lunch they give you a piece of bologna that's dried up and some bread. And if you got a good person that works in the kitchen, they like to look out for people. You may get something good, but other than that,
let me tell you, halfway house food is worse than prison. Promise you. And then, okay, so they just took, we can't have canned tops no more. We can't have Tupperware. We can't have the little 30 cents of top ramen. But our spending limit is only $35. Now we're supposed to get $35 a week, but you're telling us to buy more expensive products.
Wow.
And now we need clothing, hygiene, food. We got just
wow.
The list goes on and on. And
but what are some of those key things that if somebody was in government, because I do a lot of interviews with different types of people, if somebody came across this video, what are some of those things that you would like to personally share that you feel that needs to be changed in these prisons?
Okay, well, as far as prisons programs, the jails, we women, we just sit in the jail cells. We do not move. We have no movement, and the food is brought to us. We are sit in the jail cells for that whole time, and sometimes we don't get court for a year, 2 years. I met a girl that didn't get court for almost 4 years.
What is that?
Just sitting in a cell.
What is court though?
Court, like when you go to court.
Oh, go to court.
Yes,
oh,
yes. So you're sitting in this jail, it's dead time. Whether you get equipped for these charges or whether you go to prison.
They don't let y'all go out to rack. You know how when you
rec,
go
sometimes it's either every other day or one day out there, depending on the jail. And rec is just a square. Like we don't have basketball hoops. We don't have, it's just a square.
Wow.
And it's enclosed or it's in a gym. So I know in Nolan County, Sweetwater, it was in a gym. So I didn't see daylight for the whole time I was there, and it took and
it's not healthy for you guys not to go outside and get sun and get
that's vitamin C,
because that's a natural use.
And not just that, but we could be going to classes, we could be learning something, we could start a exercise group or just something to keep us moving to like exercise our minds or our bodies or our
rehabilitation,
anything
because all of that is a part of rehabilitation. It's like, okay, you're in here, you've made these mistakes or these things been done to you. Now it's time, like, how do we get your mind to a place where we recondition you, reshape you, make you a better person?
And a lot of these girls, they have low self-esteem or they're confused or they
shoot out a few ideas. Guys, a lot of y'all talk about rehabilitation, right? And a lot of churches talk about visiting these prisons. What I would do, you know how you put these coaching packages together out here? You know how, everybody do coaching and all that kind of stuff now. If you one of those people you like to coach, consider, I wouldn't say you can get paid from it, you probably couldn't, but consider if God lays it on your heart, create a coaching package for these young women. You understand what I'm saying? Create something. And maybe you can find a way for the state to pay you through the programs or something. I don't know. And I just want to maybe you can start out with exercise in their rooms where they can get together as girls in the room and exercise together. And then you can go from that to where they can sit down and you can put types of books in there. They can read about business and read about ideas. I know some of that they're able to do, but maybe, get what you call group coaching packages. And in each cell, create these group where you group these girls together in these cells. And since they're sitting in there like that, what you can do is use those coaching packages and have maybe, what do you call those people? A guard to go in there or somebody that's specialized from the outside and sit down. They watch this on the monitor. They do it together. And I'm just throwing out some ideas out there because that'll condition them. So when they get ready, it's like rehabilitation. So when they get ready to get out, they've been exercising. They've been learning certain skills. They've been learning it as a group in their cell. And in these cells, these women begin to fight and catfight and get mad because they're just in there and they combust it. And if you come in there every week, give them something viable to look toward, something good, and put those coaching packages together and have somebody to come in and sit down with them, bring a monitor inside the room where they can watch it and do those activities together. I mean, it's just so many ideas, guys. Just use your creativity.
And I didn't want to interrupt you, but all those are great ideas, and we need all of those ideas. But it's not always the volunteers, or sometimes we do get volunteers that come to bat for us, but it's the guards themselves, or
prison reform. Start firing these no good guards.
That's the thing is if a guard's going to be one way, have all the guards be one way. Don't let one guard be one way on this shift.
Favoritism.
And it confuses us because we think it's okay for this shift, for this purpose, and so the next person does it because we see us doing, and then we're getting in trouble or we're getting.
But rehabilitation should be mandatory. what I believe about rehabilitation, though, it shouldn't be the old way, pills and, this and monitoring and all of that. When I think of rehabilitation, I think of all these women out here who built up these coaching packages, right? So when I think of rehabilitation, you got people who do health coaching. You got people who do business coaching. Mm-hmm. You got people who do mind breakthrough coaching. What they call that positive motivation coaching.
Cognitive.
Yeah. And so they dealing with the mind, right? Just think if you put that together in a package and then you make it mandatory in prisons. As a rehabilitation thing that these women have to attend this, and they can attend it in small groups.
Yes.
So people can really learn. You be like, okay, cell block, something come out. So you guys, it's your week to do it. And then now it's your turn to do it. And you rehabilitating people and you giving them something positive. And now these girls go back to the cell and they're talking positive and they're talking about that. And the girl, I'm losing some weight, and girl, I'm doing, it could be all kind of things. And I just think that if people just get more creative,
yes,
and start taking, I guess you could say, the judgments off and get more creative, and that's what rehabilitation is about. Not the old school, but the new school, and just really get out there.
And when I was in Nolan County and being in that cell, going through what I went through with the PTSD and just everything, I hung myself, and I ended up the guard had brought me back to life. They didn't know how long I wasn't breathing for, and I had to go to a hospital and everything. And if I would have had a program or somebody that to talk, it just, a lot of things can be prevented with the smallest like words from a person or cares or programs or just encouragement, and I just want to say a lot of it's these guards. They make it hard on us, and they make it not only hard on us, but I'm sure hard on themselves, because who wants to walk around mad all day? I mean, if you don't like your job, get a new one.
Exactly. We're gonna leave you with 3 takeaways each, which will give you 6 takeaways. We're gonna leave you with 3 takeaways. What 3 takeaways? It could be to government, it could be to young women, it could be to anybody you want it to be to. What 3 takeaways would you like to leave?
Well, I just want to say, as far as takeaway, sex offenders, and I used to be one of them. You hear sex offender and you automatically think, oh, this person did this to the, and that's why he is the way, or she is the way she is. And it's not always the case. People are being lied on. People are 18 having sex with a 17-year-old that is only a year apart, or something as small as a man using the restroom in a park. Not saying it's right, because it's not, it's disgusting, but and having to register for the rest of their lives because of it. And it's not always the case of them hurting somebody. And I just want to say there are levels, high, medium, low, and when you hear that word, don't automatically judge or hold it against us for that title, because not all of us deserve it.
Exactly.
And it's hard. And being in jail and doing our time and serving our sentence, we still are serving a sentence. And just don't judge a book by its cover.
Nice. What I would say, my takeaway will be this. Number one, I want to thank you.
Thank you.
Because it takes a lot of courage to come on camera where people are going to see on YouTube to share that. A lot of people been through it, but they don't have the courage to say it because they know they're going to be judged. They know people are going to talk about them. It's something that they probably did in their private life, or something, or accident happened, or maybe they were lied on and people deemed them or whatever. And so it takes a lot of courage to come on this camera and to be honest and open. So number one, I just want to say thank you, because I don't know, it may get 2 views tomorrow. It may get 50 views. It may get 1,000, 100,000, maybe a year or 2 from now, but it's out there and you don't know who's going to come across it, and you don't know whose life is going to change and touch. So number one, thank you. My takeaway that I would say to you guys, I have one for the entertainment industry. Guys, please consider that young people are just going to look up to you. It's just so much going out here. So I would say, even if you're going to make your adult entertainment, please make some good things for them too. Make some good, positive things for them too. They're going to look up to you regardless. My number 2 would be to government. Government, please really look inside of jail systems and look inside of prisons, and really do understand that with crime comes a backstory. I'm not saying it should be an excuse. You got to learn these lessons, but there comes story and there comes volumes. And I would say, please allow there to be shifts to happen within these systems where they can begin to do things differently. The guards, please start firing people that don't belong in these positions, that's not using their titles and positions right. So that way you can make sure that these systems are being ran right. The goal is not to destroy people. You don't want to talk about God and the Savior and God saving people, and God can redeem anybody. So again, we need to make sure we even having those thoughts. Unless somebody just really out there trying to harm people, that's understandable. But most people are redeemable. They just need a chance. The third thing I would say is to all you creatives out there, to you people who love helping underprivileged people. You may even be that person. You've been to jail yourself. You've been trying to think of ways to help people. I want you to study coaches. I want you to study how coaches do things, and study packaging, and study all that kind of stuff, because those people can really use that. And then go before your city halls and your governments, or the people who deal with these jail packages and all that kind of stuff, and see how you can get those things into the prison systems, because that's a part of rehabilitation. You can make rehabilitation fun, because prisons are depressing. You can make it exciting. You can make it prosper. What do coaches do? Coaches don't get you to focus on your now. They get you to focus on what's ahead and what you're trying to become. So if you guys can be creatives and think of things like that for people, you never know whose life you can bless. God bless you all. I thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, leave your comments below. If you have any questions, please leave them below. Where can they find you at on socials?
I'm on Facebook, Audrey Ovaldia, 1800. Thank you for having me. I appreciate this opportunity, and I thank you for everybody who's watching this.
Guys, you have a blessed one, okay?
Bye.
We appreciate you. Bye-bye. Like, share, and subscribe. Also, guys, hit the notification bell so you guys can be notified, okay? And just remember, life is always about second, third, fourth, fifth chances. We've all had them because God has given them to us all. Have a blessed one, you guys.
Have a blessed day. Thank you.
Bye-bye.